Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our crucial discussion on ending violence against children. I am FAREESHA FARHANA BINTI ROSLI, and I'll be guiding our panel discussion today. First of all, children are among the most vulnerable members of our society. According to the World Health Organization (WHO), over half of our children aged 2 until 17 years old, more than 1 billion, experience some form of violence each year. Our panelists today bring diverse expertise to our discussion today. For example, panelist one come from legal expert. Meanwhile, panelists two come from psychologist or counselor expert, and panelist three come from educator or communicative representative. So for understanding our discussion today, so we have to understand the root of causes. The WHO report that around three in 5 children are regularly punished by physical means in their home. So panelist one, as a legal expert, what a systematic factor that contribute to such widespread of use of physical punishment against children? So panelist one, can you share what are the factor?
Okay, thank you to the moderator. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi, and I'm a lawyer. Well,
Panelist one, I can hear your voice.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear right now.
Okay. I will put my mic on my mouth. Okay. Well, thank you to the moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farhin, and I'm a legal expert or a lawyer. Well, there are a lot of factors causing this child violence and exploitation to happen. As someone who specializes in the legal field, I must be responsible for ensuring protection of child and their interests. Okay, from my reading, according to the World Health Organization (WHO), one of the important risk factors is poverty, that children have to do hard labors such as working in mines and factories to support their family. Moreover, in a research conducted by Wood in 2020, there are weak legal structures regarding to this problem. Many countries are lack in understanding the child protection laws. Statistics reported by the UNICEF in 2024 shows that slightly more than one of 5 children aging 5 until 17 years old are engaged with child labor in poorer countries. Other than that, according to the American Psychology Association (APA), family dysfunction is one of the reasons that this issue is occurred. Children from households with violent relationships may witness violence from intimate partners, experience physical abuse themselves, or be ignored by parents or other caregivers who are preoccupied with their partners or indifferent to their children because of their own anxieties. Abuse and violence can be result from lack parenting techniques or ignorance of their children's development. This may exhibit the inconsistent discipline and emotional neglect in their family relationships. Um, subset, subset, sorry. Subsequently, there are so many other factors that contribute to child violence and exploitation. Many countries face legal challenges in handling this issue. For instance, Iran, according to Human Rights Watch news article, where even though their country's child protection legal measures has advanced, it is still insufficient as the law fails to address to control critical issues such as child marriage for girls as young as 13 years old or physical punishment. According to Global Status Report by WHO, while laws protecting children are covered by 88% among countries, only 47% of them are sufficiently enforced. This disparity shows that even there are legal structures who are in place, they are properly not implemented, which leave many children to many children open to abuse and exploitation. Even so, the international legal framework such as Article 19 of United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child (UNCPRC) is also not yet strong as they face certain challenges like the unclear jurisprudence on how it could be applied to its practice. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for panelist one for your sharing your opinion about this. For your additionally information that WHO also indicated that 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 7 boys is experiencing social violence. So, panelists too, from a psychological perspective, what individual or societal factor that contribute to such alarming rate of sexual violence against the children? So, panelists too, can you share your opinion, your view about this factor?
Thank you, lovely moderators, and hello to everyone. I am glad to be here to be able to discuss this pressing issue. As a psychologist, I've seen the profound effects that certain environment and behavior can have on children, especially as me as a psychologist. I think that family-related factors are the main causes of it, and I will separate that into three, which are domestic violence, neglectful parenting, and unresolved abuse cases. First, let's talk about domestic violence. Children who grow up in homes where domestic violence occur are at a higher risk of being exploited and experiencing violence themselves. So, as said from Datuk Seri Abdul Jalil, the Royal Malaysia Police Criminal Investigation Department Director, said that there are 531 child abuse cases in the first 8 months of 2022, while there are 472 cases in the first 9 months of 2021. We can see from this that there is an increasing trend of abuse cases caused by domestic violence. This exposure can lead to various range of psychological issues, including anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorders. Children in this environment often feel helpless and may internalize these violence, believing it's a normal thing in life. This normalization can lead to increased vulnerability to exploitation, as these children may seek affection or validation from harmful sources from outside home. Next, we have neglectful parenting. Neglect can take in many forms: emotional, physical, and education. When parents do not provide adequate supervision, emotional support, or basic needs for the children, these children are left vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. As there was a study in 2020 by the Pediatric Department of Hospital Serdang says suspected child abuse and neglect causes in a single territory hospital in Malaysia. A 5-year study retrospective study says that from all of their studies, 55% of them are from physical abuse, 33% are from sexual abuse, 10% of them are from negligent abuse. And these perpetrators are 30% of them are from biological parents, and 26 of them are babysitters. And the other of that are from unrelated. So a child may not receive the love and guidance necessary to develop healthy relationship. As a result, they may seek attention in unsafe environment, exposing them to potential abuse and exploitation. Additionally, neglect can hinder a child's ability to recognize harmful situation, furthering their risk. Finally, about unresolved abuse cases, many individuals who abuse children have themselves been a victim of abuse. The cycle of abuse can perpetuate through generation to generation. There is a 2019 study, victim of abuse, physical abuse, higher risk to be perpetrators. There's a 55% of that study that the parents themselves have actually become a victim of an abuse. There is a popular saying, and it's popular for a reason, which is the victim becomes the abuser. This generational pattern is not just a matter of learned behavior, it also involves psychological scars that remains unresolved. Children who grow up in such environments often replicate the dynamic they observe, leading to a cycle where exploitation and violence becomes ingrained in family systems. This perpetuation can create a community where child exploitation is rampant, as these individuals may not seek help or recognize the harm that they are causing. That's all from me.
Thank you for finalist two for your sharing your thought. We discussed about the factor that contributing to this issue. So now should we discuss more about this topic by talking about the impact of violence and exploitation against the children? So the impact of violence against children are profound. The WHO also stated that experiencing violence in childhood can impair lifelong physical and mental health. So, panelists, what are the broader societal implications not addressing violence and exploitation against the children? Panelists, can you share your thought about this?
Okay. Hi, thank you for your question, moderator. Honestly, the effects of violence on children are heartbreaking. Let's start with their academic lives first, since that is where we as educators see it most clearly. Children who have been exposed to violence often struggle to concentrate in their classes. It's as if their mind is somewhere else, and in many ways it is. When a child is worrying about their safety, whether at home, in their neighborhood, or even at school, it's hard for them to concentrate on their classes, or for example, like to solve their math problems or reading their assignments. So, according to a research by UNICEF, highlights that this exposure to violence significantly hinders a child's emotional, social, and cognitive development. So, this can be explained why students who experience violence may be like have example have their difficulty to overcome their academics. Then there is attendance. Some kids start skipping schools altogether because it feels unsafe or overwhelming for them. For example, a child being bullied might avoid school to escape their pain or their bullies, while another facing violence at home might feel too exhausted to even make it to class. Over time, these patterns of avoidance lead to falling behind academically and in the worst case, dropping out. According to the World Health Organization, children who experience violence are also more likely to have higher dropout rates due to absenteeism. Furthermore, emotionally, it's just as damaging. Violence changes how kids see the world and themselves. They might become withdrawn, not trusting anyone, or they might act out aggressively because they don't know how else to process their feelings. I once had a student who would lash out at her classmate during the group projects. Later on, we found out she was dealing with violence at home, and she felt she had to fight for control wherever she could. And then there's the long-term impact. Some children carry these scars into adulthood, facing mental health challenges like anxiety, depression, or PTSD. Studies from the American Psychological Association revealed that children who experience violence are at increased risk of developing long-term mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, and PTSD. They might also struggle to build healthy relationships because they are never learn what safety or trust feels like. So, as educators, we are often the first to notice the signs, but it's not easy. You want to help, but you also know the problem is bigger than what you can handle alone. That's why schools need a system in place to address these issues properly. So, I think that's all from me for now.
Okay, thank you for panelist three. So panelist two focusing on the individual. How does childhood violence impact mental and development into adulthood? Can you share about your thought?
Thank
this?
you very much for giving me the chance to talk about this and the the impact of this troubling issue. Personally, for me as a psychologist, the impact of exploitation and violence also also does extends to developmental consequences. The Center of Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) highlights that adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, can disrupt brain development, leading to cognitive delays and difficulties in emotional regulation. Children who face such adversities often struggle with trust and attachment issues, making it challenging to form healthy relationship in the future. For example, a child who has been neglected may have difficulty establishing emotional connections, which can lead to isolation and further mental health issues. Furthermore, long-term effect of child exploitation and violence can be devastating. This a study published in the Journal of American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry found that adults with a history of childhood trauma are more likely to develop chronic mental health issues, substance abuse, and difficulty in maintaining stable employment. As said from what I've said, on the causes, a victim becomes the abuser, it will cause a long-term effect to it. This cycle often perpetuates itself as individuals who have suffered in childhood may find themselves repeating patterns of violence or exploiting in their own family. Breaking this cycle is essential for improving community health and well-being. And another part of it is the social implication of child exploitation and violence are also significant. Communities that experience high rates of violence and exploitation can suffer from increased crime, reduced economic stability, and a lack of social cohesion. As highlighted by the World Health Organization, these societal issues can create environments where children are at an even greater risk of exploitation. And with this higher risk of violence, children going outside are risking their life going out. When children grow up in such environment, it's not only impacting their individual lives, but also greatly affects the overall health and safety of the community. This creates a vicious cycle that can be challenging to break. In conclusion, the impact of child exploitation and violence is far reaching, affecting the psychological, development, social aspect of a child's life. As we recognize the severity of this issue, im- it becomes highlighting that we advocate for prevention, support, and intervention strategies by raising awareness and addressing the root causes of exploitation and violence. We can work together to create a safer and healthier environment for all children. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists. To see, we already discussed about the factor, the impact. How does this issue become more realistic because we already discussed about these two topic. So like for next discussion we will discuss about the solution or strategy. So for this topic, there are a few significant challenges like the WHO also emphasized that the importance of implementing evidence-based prevention strategy to reduce violence against the children quite hard because we need more contribution from a lot of people like the government, the community, the educator from themselves. So, panelist one, could you discuss about the legal reform that have been effective in protecting children from violence and exploitation?
Okay, thank you, moderator. So, the understanding of legal framework is crucial in the society. According to United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, it is necessary to review and revise all laws to remove provisions that permit harmful actions to the children. This can strengthen the current justice and child protection system to help developing a kid-safe environment. In addition, according to UNICEF, countries can create national policies that address violence against children in various sectors including health, education and justice. Among other things, this entails setting up kid protection units under law enforcement. Authorities can provide training for professionals on how to spot and abuse and exploitation symptoms in children to improve their capacity to effectively protect children. In fact, laws also must be comprehensive and enforceable. In Malaysia, there are acts such as Child Act 2001 that introduce some initiatives to protect children from exploitation, or abuse, or neglect, or violence. Likewise, public awareness is also important on detecting the issue among our society. According to United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, again, people can host some initiative to alter the cultural norms that support violence against children. For example, Go Blue campaign that was being held in the United States for abuse. The community can also establish programs that provide parents with support and education on stress management and positive disciplining approach. Well, in conclusion, the issue of violence and exploitation of children needs immediate institutional and legal action that aligns with our sustainable development goals SDG 16, peace, justice, and institutions. For me, as a legal expert, I have a duty to prioritize into defending children's rights and make sure that no child is subjected to violence and exploitation so that they can live in a free and a secure and just society. That's all for me.
Thank you for panelist one, for your sharing about this topic and how you share about the solution for this topic. So can we continue to panelist three? So how you as educator yourself, so how can a school or educator or a community can collaborate to each other to create a safer environment for children at the school? Because I think as educator, yourself also play a crucial role for this topic to give a solution against the violence against the children. So I think as educator, you are more closer to uh, your student. So as a as educator, how the solution come?
I'm glad you asked, okay, because while the problem feels overwhelming, there are actually real and actionable steps we can take. First, schools need to adopt what we call trauma-informed practices. This means understanding that children who have experienced violence might behave in some certain ways that seem unusual or even disruptive. But bear in mind these behaviors are often their way of coping. Instead of punishing them outright, we can ask them what's behind of this behavior and try to be a lot gentle and understanding towards them. According to the National Traumatic Stress Network, these practices help educators create environments where students feel supported and understood. Secondly, training is also critical. Teachers need to know how to recognize signs of abuse, things like sudden mood swings, frequent absence, or unexplained injuries. But it's not just about recognizing it. We also need a clear and confidential system for reporting these concerns so they are addressed properly. In this case, we also need to involve parents and communities. Often, violence starts at home, so it's important to educate caregivers about non-violent parenting strategies. For example, workshops or parenting programs can make a big difference here. Lastly, schools need to promote a culture of safety and respect. For example, anti-bullying programs, peer support groups, and clear rules against violence help children to feel like school is a safe place. When kids know who they can trust, for example, like teachers and their classmates, it helps creates an environment where they can grow healthily and focus on their class more. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention report that schools with a strong culture of safety see significantly lower rates of violence and higher student engagement. I know none of this is easy and it requires a lot of commitment from everyone, for example, like teachers, parents, communities, and policymakers. But when you see a child smart again, start raising their hand in class or even make their first friend, you know it's worth it to overcome these issues together.
Thank you for our panelists for discuss about the factor, the impact, and conclusion. So me as a moderator that listen to you guys discussion, I can conclude that violence and exploitation against children are pervasive issue that deep-rooted, causes and far-reaching impact. However, through a legal reform, psychological support, and community engagement, we can make a significant stride in protecting our children. We as a community, we can commit to creating a future where every child is safe and empowered to thrive. Thank you for our panelists for their invaluable insight and to our audience for participating in this important discussion. So, I am FARHANA binti ROSLI. We'll close our discussion today. And thank you for our panelists, AISYAH binti NORHAMIDI, FARIHIN Ahmad FIRDAUS, and Izzatul Sofiah Muhammad Sharifuddin for sharing uh you guys talk about this issue. So bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.